This week on Pitt Beyond the Script.
It's been very difficult just trying to navigate this whole thing. I commend my guys because they've shown up every day.
The one thing about Panthers United is about international students. We're about faith-based students. We're about everybody.
When I started as an intern at Pitt Studios as a freshman, I never thought I would be directing on ESPN Online.
All this and more on this edition of Pitt Beyond the Script.
It starts as a game, a gathering of friends. And slowly, as some begin to sit back, others stand out. The joy of playing turns to passion. And as the skills develop, so do the minds. And they begin to seek challenges, peers, and mentors to further their abilities and opportunities. The love and passion becomes a thirst for people in a place
we're going to show everybody else in the country who we are.
That will embrace and push. A hunger for excellence.
Blitz, the ACC.
And to be in and among champions. These are the dreamers, scholars, leaders. These are the guides, teachers, mentors. And this is the opportunity, the challenge, the place. This is Pitt Beyond the Script.
We are more than athletes.
We are humans.
Until we unite,
there will be no progress.
In the summer, a lot of the student athletes were upset and angry. There's a lot of feelings around the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. So we had a town hall meeting that I put together. Panthers United actually came from the town hall meeting.
Panthers United is a collaborative effort between our staff, coaches, administrators, and student athletes to help identify the needs that we have within our athletic department when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The education starts with us, and what we learn and the conversations we have, the dialogue that we initiate and facilitate, like we want to push that outwards to, people in our communities, our alumni, our fans, everyone who supports Pitt Athletics. We want them to be part of Panthers United.
The one thing about Panthers United is not just about Black Lives Matter. We wanted to be very intentional about incorporating all the groups. We're about international students. We're about faith-based students. We're about everybody.
Panthers United was critical for many reasons. First, just most importantly, to demonstrate our commitment to diversity. The importance of everybody understanding what it means to be diverse and what it means to create an environment where people recognize the value that everybody brings to our department.
So I just want to get across the idea of this being more of a movement and a way of life and less than just like a moment off of social media.
The protests and what has been happening around the country has personally affected me. It got a little bit too close to home, so I was more than ready to take a stance and try and speak up and be more involved. That way we can all come together and contribute to making a change at the university and hopefully other universities and in the country as a whole.
Now the players taking a knee against social injustice.
I'm really proud that people care about it and are willing to take action and know that this isn't just a moment in time, that we want Panthers United to last forever.
Honestly, it might sound a little cheesy, but Panthers United and all the work we did has really changed the trajectory of my life. But it goes beyond me. There's so many things happening, so many initiatives and events rolling out that I'm not even aware of. Panthers United, I would say, was a spark that lit a fire. And honestly, I found my voice doing this work. I found my passion. And this is what I want my career in. I want to focus on student athlete life and student athlete development because I love it and I don't want to stop.
to be smart. We have to have poise. One, two, three.
Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers radio network.
We wanted just to try to work on us.
Gonna take it all the way for this. Johnson detonates.
I honestly put in a lot of mental work.
Their love of basketball.
Basketball is really my vehicle.
The cut by Tony.
I really appreciate, Pitt.
Jeff was trying to make sure you were entertained.
The Jeff Capel Radio Show, Fridays at 4 p.m. on AT&T Sportsnet.
Speed. Here comes Champagne going up for the dunk. Wow! I'm telling you, 59-48, Pitt by 11.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pitt Beyond the Script alongside men's basketball coach Jeff Capel. I'm Rob King. Glad to be here. Our first show together this year, so we have some catching up to do before we get back to the current state of things with the program. First of all, I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you right away just about COVID and the season and how things have been affected, your team and just the schedule being, changed constantly. What has it been like?
It's been a whirlwind. It's a season unlike any other, and it's a season that you have to be able to really adapt and adjust and kind of do things on the fly. Coming into it, I knew that the schedule would be awkward. I knew that there would be disruptions. Didn't know when, but I knew that it would happen. And so you have to prepare and as best you can, and do as best as you can in these circumstances. We go through each day, waiting on test results, seeing if we can have our whole team at practice, seeing who can be there. Every day when a kid gets up and comes in the building, we're trying to figure out how he feels. Does he have any symptoms? And if he does, then we send him home. And so each day as a coach, you don't know how many guys you're going to have, who's going to be out. And so that's difficult as you're trying to prepare.
Again, probably every individual handles it differently. Is it a little harder for the younger guys who are trying to figure out, their way socially as well as with the team and academically to have everything, as you said, so disjointed?
Yeah, I think it's really hard for young people. And when I say young people, the kids that are in college. I can't imagine my college experience being like this. Take basketball away, just my college experience being what these kids are going through. They're here, but everything is virtual. There's no interaction. You can't go hang out. You can't go to parties. You can't have the normal stuff that you do in college. If you have a big win, who do you celebrate with? And then I do think it does affect their spirit when they're here with us with basketball. I've noticed some days they're in great mood, some days they're not. Some days you can see that they're struggling with all the different things that they're going through.
Keep taking steps. Let's go, baby.
Hey, it's going to 1, 2, 3. As a coach and as a coaching staff, how do you measure then a player's growth? I mean, is it different than it would be in a normal year?
I think so. It's very different. We did not have, and no one, I'm not just saying us, we didn't have the normal kind of, okay, you're here in July. We have our team here for the second session of summer school. So that's normally the last week of June. They're here all of July. And that's where a lot of that stuff happens. You start your lifting program. You start your individual work program. You gradually start to build up into team stuff towards the end of that. You're putting them in challenging situations, whether it's conditioning, whether it's in the weight room, on the court, and seeing guys have those breakthroughs, seeing them push through things, seeing them work, at a different level. No one was able to do that this summer. It's been very difficult just trying to navigate this whole thing. I commend my guys because they've shown up every day. Knock on wood, we've not had a player test positive since the middle of September. I also commend our doctors, our trainer. Everyone is doing their part to have us healthy and have us as ready to go as we possibly can be.
When you talk about measuring someone's growth and a player's growth, I think every fan who's turned on the TV and unfortunately not be able to watch it in person, but has seen the growth of Justin Champagne. It's been remarkable what he's done.
It is Guerrier weaving to Griffin. Ball stolen away by Champagne. Crossover dribble at the point. He drives in, and he jams it home, and the Panthers lead it 47-44.
It has been. It has been. You know, he's worked hard. He had a great mindset from the during the quarantine period of the pandemic when everyone was home. You know, he would call me, he would text me, Coach, I want you to push me, I want you to be on me, I really want to be good. I know I don't take it the right way sometimes, but don't stop doing it, and things like that. And he's come, and I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations. You know, we certainly thought he'd be a really good player this year and hopefully take a big jump. But we didn't anticipate the numbers being, what they are. But he's really taken a big step and done some amazing things. But another guy that's done it too is Au'Diese Toney. I mean, he's really, if you look at his numbers on the offensive end, what he's done is percentages. But when you add in what he does defensively for us, he's been another guy that's made a significant jump.
In the game against Duke, Champagnie had 5 blocks, and overall the defense, is it getting to the point that you want it to be at?
It's been good. The past couple of games, it hasn't been what it was for, I'd say, the first, I think we played 12 games, so the first 10 games. We have to get back to defending at a high level, and that's ball pressure, that's defending the three-point line, that's keeping people out of our paint, and then finishing it with defensive rebounding.
Couple of sparkling wins that stick out before we get to the Duke game. We'll talk about that next segment. But the comeback wins against Northwestern and Syracuse, you led for literally seconds in those games and were able to pull out victory.
Yeah, it was they were 2 really great wins for us because we fought for 40 minutes. And we did it when adversity hit. Against Northwestern, we could not throw the ball in the basket at all. It was unlike anything that I'd ever seen, and we got really good looks. I'm talking about layups and all those things. But our defense kept us where we were in striking distance. And I told them, we're going to be fine. You just keep defending like that. We'll make shots this half. And we started making shots, and we started, our defense kept us there all game long, and at the end, we were able to make some plays. But both games, it was indicative of how together we were. All we were worried about was we. We were worried about us. And it's a great example of when you do that, good things can happen for your team. And we need to make sure that's what we worry about all the time.
A couple great moments and another great moment still to come, plus a look forward to the Panthers game against Notre Dame when we resume with Coach Capel on Pitt Beyond the Script.
Champagnie gonna take it all the way to the stop.
I'm gonna let you know I'm feeling better now.
Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
We wanted just to try to work on us.
Gonna take it all the way to the stop. Johnson detonates.
I honestly put in a lot of mental work.
Their love of basketball.
Basketball is really my vehicle.
The cut by Toney.
I really appreciate, Pitt.
Jeff was trying to make sure you were entertained.
The Jeff Capel Radio Show, Fridays at 4 p.m. on AT&T Sportsnet.
We gotta be smart. We have to have poise. What? 1, 2, 3, what?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Taïcha. J'adore jouer au basket, puis je suis très contente d'être à Pittsburgh. I can speak French and English, and I understand Creole. My parents are originally from Haiti, but they moved to Florida before I was born, and then at 8 years old, I moved to Canada. My favorite Canadian dish is poutine. It's fries with gravy and cheese. And then my favorite meal to cook would be griot. It's chicken with plantains and rice and beans with like this spicy cabbage thing. I got interested in basketball when I was in the 5th grade. My gym teacher actually made me try out for the basketball team. As a player, I'm very athletic. I am long and I'm fast. Coach White is very different from the coaches that I had in the past. Coach White, he's very like joyful, nice, and like he made me feel at home here. My name is Taisha Exnor. I am from Chateauguay, Quebec. I'm a freshman guard.
I'm Casey Garrow, Pitt Studios, joined by Associate Athletic Director of Major Gifts and Pitt football color analyst Pat Bostic in the Rathburn Family Hall of Fame atrium. Pat, thanks for joining me. The schedule is out already. We're still in, the winter season, but we're getting ready for this fall football schedule. Those first 4 non-conference games, how exciting is it to see 4 on the schedule, especially with only having 1 last season?
Yeah, last year was weird. I mean, obviously you had the whole schedule revamped late in the summer, so every team you prepared for, you had to scrap it. This year you've got 4 non-conference games to, you hate to say ease into the season, but you've got a more customary start to the season with UMass, obviously New Hampshire, a start of a home and home with Western Michigan. You've prepared for those teams. You get to apply that throughout the offseason and build to a normal start to the season. 2020 was atypical. Let's hope 2021 is a little bit more normal.
And of course, Tennessee, an SEC opponent, it will not be an easy non-conference game for them.
No, and we're hoping that obviously the fans are back in Neyland Stadium down in Knoxville. Obviously there's some transition going on with that program, and it'll be, obviously they just hired Josh Heupel from UCF, and obviously he's done a terrific job with the Knights down there. Let's see what he can do with the Volunteers, but that'll be a big time opportunity on the road, week 2. You're talking about one of the more storied programs in college football, that orange T logo. To get a chance to play down there will be special for these young men.
And then we get into the conference schedule. It doesn't take long, straight into October. We have Georgia Tech on the road, which we seem to be on the road with them every year. Doesn't it seem that way, Pat?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Birmingham trips back in the day, maybe buy a timeshare in Atlanta. But no, it's a good opportunity to go down there. Obviously, they're a program on the rise. That was a hotly contested game last year. Rivalry with Virginia Tech on the road in Blacksburg. Last time the Panthers were in Blacksburg, it was a dismal day, both in weather and on the field. And last year in Heinz Field, obviously, it was a rout for the Panthers. So, and then I think you get to the meat of the schedule. 3 or 4 games at home. I think the 3 biggest games of the year for Pitt, and probably the 3 favorite teams in the ACC. Clemson without Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Last year in Death Valley did not go the Panthers' way. They get a chance at redemption with Kenny Pickett back at the helm in Heinz Field against a marquee opponent. And then obviously North Carolina and Miami. 2 teams that you've had some struggles with. Miami, it's been a tough run with those guys. They have De'Aaron King back. We'll see how he comes back from the ACL. And then Sam Howell, who everyone's projecting to be the best quarterback in the league. I think number 8 for the Panthers will have something to say about that, but I'm looking forward to that 3 out of 4 game stretch. And then obviously getting a chance to play Virginia and Duke again. It's weird saying that we didn't play them last year, but that was a weird year, and we get the Blue Devils and the Cavaliers back on the schedule and kick it off in style and end it in style in the Dome.
Of course, and I'm excited to see Kenny Pickett back at the helm. He gets to face Miami this year. He gets a redemption this time because he didn't get to face them last season.
He does. I mean, Kenny hasn't beaten Clemson. I'm sure that's one thing he wants to check off of his list. He wants to win an ACC championship. He's got a chance to break almost every record in the book. He's got to have a heck of a year. But I think he's got the tools to do it. I'm excited to watch him develop. I think the growth you can see from him this year, what he can do for himself in terms of draft stock, and what he can do for this team and program in terms of cementing a legacy, all the reason to come back, and I'm anxious to watch him play one more time in the blue and gold.
And hopefully fans back in the stands. We're hoping we return to normal. That's what we're all thinking.
We want you back. I mean, that's the big thing. We want a packed Heinz Field. I want to travel on the road and go to road games. It's been an odd year. We're anxious to get Panther Nation back together, and let's keep doing our part and have fun in 21, as Heather likes to say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Pat. Quick schedule breakdown. We always appreciate a Bostic breakdown. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.
We wanted just to try to work on us.
Gonna take it all the way for the Johnson detonates.
I honestly put in a lot of mental work.
Their love of basketball.
Basketball is really my vehicle.
The cut by Tony.
I really appreciate Pitt.
Jeff was trying to make sure you were entertained.
The Jeff Capel Radio Show, Fridays at 4 p.m. on AT&T Sportsnet.
In my over 5 decades of covering Pitt basketball, I've seen a lot of good guards who could do a lot of good things, but Brandon Knight separated himself from all of them.
That guy was the mastermind behind the turnaround of this program.
Well, when I think of Brandon Knight, I think of Pitt basketball. He's the epitome of a Pitt basketball player.
Brandon could do everything. Tremendous ball handler, clutch shooter, a good defender.
You need to have a guy who can penetrate, and Pittsburgh has that in Brandon Knight.
His passes were some of the cleanest. He was very precise with them, and he would lead you.
Nifty dish that time from Brandon Knight.
At Madison Square Garden, he'd sacrifice his body, dive on the floor.
And Brandon comes running from half court and dives and steals the ball, and he was like an ultimate defender.
His competitiveness, his toughness, the edge that he played with changed the culture of a program.
We had to learn from Brandon. He set the tone, he was there, and he wore that number 20 is in the rafters for a reason.
Number 20 will now permanently hang as an inspiring tribute to your record here at the University of Pittsburgh.
This is the best place to play in the country. We have the best fans, and I love all of you. Thank you.
Let's go. Welcome back to Pitt Beyond the Script. Coach, I want to pick up with the Duke game. Great win. I will say this before we get started about the win itself. It was one of those games, I think Bill Hillgrove mentioned it on the radio. Watching it on TV myself, you thought, boy, would it have been fun to have the Zoo there for that game.
Absolutely. I thought the last two games, certainly the Syracuse game, that was on that Saturday here at the Pitt, and the Duke game, because of how well we played, especially in the second half against Syracuse, to score 64 points against that zone, and with the historical competition between Pitt and Syracuse from the old Big East days. I thought it would have been rowdy, and I thought that would have led to the Zoo being even rowdier for the Duke game.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you if it's special for you.
It wasn't. It was special for our program and for me as the coach of the University of Pittsburgh. Anytime you can beat a program like Duke. Duke is the measuring stick. They're the gold standard of the ACC. It's like last year when we beat North Carolina. They are the gold standard in the measuring stick. Those two programs historically, in men's basketball, are two of the most prestigious programs in the country. For me, I don't get into individual things. I didn't when I played, and I don't now as a coach.
Was there something that did not translate from that victory to the loss subsequently on the road at Wake Forest?
Yeah, one of the things that we did not do well in the Duke game was transition defense. And when we finally got back together, we had a day off after the Duke game, and then we got back together on Thursday. That's one of the things that I showed them. And we have to be better in this area. At that time, we were ranked first in the conference in field goal percentage defense and three-point field goal percentage defense. And my message was, just imagine if we clean this transition defense up. And it's talking, it's being together, it's being connected, from that aspect. And we didn't do a good job against Wake. And we are trying to set a standard of how we want to play every day and who we want to be. We want to be really good. We have to understand that that's difficult. And that requires a discipline, and it's an everyday discipline. It's not just when you play Duke or Syracuse. It's an everyday discipline in practice. We want to be everyday guys, and we have a ways to go to do that. You can't say anything and expect someone to respect it if you are not an everyday guy. You can't demand it, and so that's what we're trying to instill and teach in our program.
And the buzzer sounds ending this game. Another upset at the Pitt.
We've talked about growth benchmarks for the program. Obviously, you came in with a team that hadn't won any games in the ACC, so you took care of that in your first year. You got to 6 wins in your second year. Now, Justin Champagnie, after that loss to Wake Forest, said, this is a really critical time for this program. You had a big win last year in which you got to 6 and 7 in the conference, then lost 7 in a row. Does it feel like a critical moment or an important moment to you?
I think it is. If we want to show growth as a program, then we need to fix whatever is going on and to change it. I don't think the last two games we've played with the edge that we need, that we've played. With the exception of the first game of the season, from every game from that point up until we beat Duke, we've had an edge about us. It's the reason why we were able to come back against Northwestern. It's the reason why we were able to come back against Syracuse. It's the reason why before we went to Wake Forest, we were undefeated on the road because we were tough. We had an edge. We fought. And after beating Duke, we lost a little bit of that edge. We have to get it back.
Notre Dame is a team that has a nice inside-out game. You're going to be taking them on veteran backcourts. That's always something I think that worries coaches. 2 juniors who are starting back there. Leshevsky inside is a really good player. So it's a Notre Dame team that looks like they're playing better and better now.
Yeah, Leshevsky's, you talk about growth. He's made a huge growth, from last year to this year, and has become one of the better players in our league, scoring the ball and rebounding the basketball. And then when you add, their style of play, they shoot a lot of threes, they spread you out, they're in constant motion, their movements. And then especially if they get hot from 3, they can be a team that can beat anyone. Their defense has gotten a little bit better. It seems like they've gotten a little bit tougher on that end. They've always been a confident group, especially on the offensive end. And they've always been one of the better offensive teams in the ACC. And so, again, for us, we have to control what we can control. We have to have that edge. We have to be together. And we have to fight for 40 minutes.
Good catching up. Good luck on Saturday.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks very much, Coach Capel. Now we go unscripted with Pitt student Jack Reynolds.
My name is Jack Reynolds. I'm a junior majoring in film and media studies and communication, and this is my Pitt story. There were a couple different things that kind of brought me towards Pitt. I knew I wanted a big school, something with a lot of resources and a lot to offer students. And I also knew I wanted a school that wasn't super far from home, but was also in the city. So I didn't want something that was way out in the country or in the middle of nowhere. My favorite thing about Pittsburgh and Pitt's campus is the kind of mix between urban and rural. You get that urban campus, but it's not like a big city. I originally found Pitt, though, through their tours that they offer. So I started on the tours, and then from there, I kept coming back for a couple more tours, and after touring the campus a couple times and the facilities and meeting some people here, I kind of fell in love with it, and here I am now. So I'm a dual major in communication rhetoric and film and media studies. I ended up going with both majors because each offers things that the other can't. So the film and media studies is the more hands-on, practical, how to do things. The communication rhetoric part is the more theory-based area. So kind of combining those 2 majors and working through them both has really given me the theoretical and the hands-on practice that I need to kind of succeed. And ready to slowly trail your music and trail your music out. So the biggest thing that surprised me about Pitt is just how many opportunities I'd have. When I started as an intern at Pitt Studios as a freshman, I never thought that sitting here today as a junior, I would be directing on ESPN Online. So that's been an absolutely amazing experience for me. It's something that I don't think I would have ever gotten to do. So that was a great surprise for me, and I've gotten to do a lot more than just directing as well. I've done all kinds of roles in production here at the studio, and really just as an intern starting out, you never think you're gonna get there, and here we are. Ready, 1, take 1, ready, blue, and fly blue.